ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्यान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यः साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यभिमः योगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् So we were in this philosophy, we are discussing right now a subject matter called this epistemology. Epistemology means a pramana vichara, analysis of various pramanas. How many pramanas a given philosophy accepts, and through that pramana, what are the things possible, etc. Well, all these things are under the heading of this epistemology. And in the pramana, we definitely have to talk about pratyaksha. That's a moola pramana. So then, what is the opinion of a Nayayikas regarding pratyaksha? And whether we agree with that or not, other philosophers also do. What do they talk about pratyaksha, etc.? That is what under the discussion. And lastly, I was referring to Vishtadvaitin's way of looking at the distinction between Nirvikalpa pratyaksha and Savikalpa pratyaksha. So I said, well, according to this Ramanuja school in Nirvikalpa pratyaksha, they said, well, there is a Vishishta Jnanam without Jati, is a Nirvikalpa. It's a Vishishta Jnanam. Vikalpa Jnanam actually. Vikalpa means Vishesha. So Nirvikalpa Jnanam is a Savishesha only, but without Jati. And I gave you example of recognizing, a child recognizes a elephant, not as elephant, but some animal with all Vikalpas. But he doesn't know because he is seeing for the first time. And therefore he doesn't know it is elephant. Then later again he sees, and then he finds that, this is the same animal which I saw. This is of the same kind which I saw before. So like that, now he, in his mind, if there is something common regarding, this jati, etc. arises. That is called common. Jati itself is which is samanya. Anyway, so the second time when he sees elephant, definitely he has a jnanam of some developed. Of course, it is in the developing stage, but it is a jnanam with the jati. So that is a Savikalpa Jnana. That's how Vishishtadvaitin says. So he explained that in a technical way, of course, called Prathama Pinda Grahanam and Dvitiya Pinda Grahanam. Grahanam means a reception, knowing. Pinda means a vastu, object. So Prathama Pinda Grahanam means knowing the thing for the first time. Well, it is Savishesha, but then basically without Jati. And Dvitiya Pinda Grahanam, when you know it again, the same object or a similar kind of an object, well, then it is Savikalpa Jnana. So that is a Vishesha Jnanam only, but along with the Jati. And then I said, well, what Advaiti has to say about this, Nirvikalpa Pratyaksha and Savikalpa Pratyaksha. Well, is Advaiti accepts this kind of a distinction between Nirvikalpa Pratyaksha and Savikalpa Pratyaksha, etc. Well, we'll have to see that. So, generally, it has started because Nayayika has first talked about this Nirvikalpaka and Savikalpaka, etc. And Nayayika said first it is a Nirvikalpaka Pratyaksha and then later it turns into Savikalpaka Pratyaksha, and that is not acceptable to Advaitin. This kind of a sequence is not acceptable to Advaitin. We don't have to think of in this kind of a sequence. In Pratyaksha, we don't accept such kind of a sequence, Nirvikalpa Pratyaksha first and then Savikalpa Pratyaksha later, etc. Well, so if you insist upon a sequence, then Advaiti has to say something. If you say no, there is a sequence, Nirvikalpa, Savikalpaka, etc. sequence is there. Then Advaiti, especially the Ramarai Kavi, you must be knowing Ramarai Kavi, who has written a good commentary on Bhagavad Gita, and I told you about his history also. He hailed from Andhra Pradesh basically, and maybe I think the place from where our Swami Tattvavedanji belongs to, I think Kakinada or something nearby, I think. But great author of many texts. Anyway, so Ramarai Kavi says, if you insist upon me that no, there is a sequence called Nirvikalpaka and Savikalpaka, etc. in the knowledge, in generating knowledge, well, I would reverse the whole sequence. Means Savikalpa is a first, Savikalpa Pratyaksha is a first, very brilliant, and Nirvikalpa Pratyaksha later. So, otherwise what will happen, if you say initially it is a Nirvikalpaka, but finally a determinate knowledge is a Savikalpaka, Savishesha, then Advaiti Advaiti is knocked out. Whole Advaita castle is built upon this Nirvishesha Brahman. So we will have to definitely say something. We generally don't accept this kind of a sequence, etc. But then if they insist upon us, other philosophers, we say this is our sequence. First is a Savikalpaka Jnanam, Savishesha Jnanam, and later Nirvishesha Jnanam. And so for us it is not a matter of a great importance to us, but then basically because they insist upon us, we say like this. So even though Nayayika says this is sequence, following the footsteps of a Nayayika, Mimamsaka also says and the same. And Vishishta Advaitin also has given his own explanation about Nirvikalpaka and Savikalpaka, etc. Ramarai Kavi says no, it is reverse. First is a Savikalpaka Jnanam, then turns to a Nirvikalpaka Jnanam. Because ordinarily when we know anything, it's a matter of a common sense, he says. Anything which you know, and we always know with a distinction. Always with a distinction, always a Vishesha. So it's a matter of a common experience basically. So let us go and we have to accept basically what is commonly experienced. So Nayayika says at a first stage there is no knowledge, it is just sensation. If you remember, I said like that. And we don't see distinction of a subject and attribute and etc. And that he has told like that. And but we don't consider Nirvikalpa Pratyaksha as a knowledge, that's what he said. If it is a knowledge, it will be always a Vishesha Jnanam, means you will know the subject and its attributes, etc. very clearly. Or let's say the Triputi Jnana. I am a knower and the part is known and there is a part knowledge in my mind, etc. That is called Savikalpaka Jnana. That's what he says. So you know a given thing such and such. And you are a knower, etc. So that is Savikalpaka Pratyaksha. So initially when it is not clear that what you see something green, and whether the substance is green or attribute is green and substance is something else, that kind of a distinction also, if you don't know, we call it Nirvikalpaka. When it is clear that it's a red rose, suppose, then it is clear to you that rose is a substance, red is its attribute, and you are the knower of a red rose is an object, and there is a rose knowledge, everything is clear, and therefore that is called Savikalpaka Pratyaksha. When these things are not clear, we are calling it Nirvikalpaka, and that is the first stage. So we don't want to call this Nirvikalpaka Pratyaksha as a Jnana. We call it just sensation. You know, you see something red, and later you find, oh, it is red rose. And then everything, of course, is clear that you say that I am a knower of a red rose, etc. So, so Nirvikalpa Pratyaksha basically is not a knowledge. We don't accept. Nayayika says like that. So, this Savikalpa Pratyaksha and this both things, are, that is, this is their problem basically. Not seeing, one minute. So this kind of a thing, this Triputi Jnanam, Vishesha Jnanam is involved, then it is always Savikalpaka, always with a distinction. This is pot is such and such, I am a knower of a pot, etc., etc. In which, you will have a preposition, you will have a determinate sentence, in which subject of, the substance and the attribute, or let's say the subject and predicate, all thing is very, very clear to you. So, and the relationship between that is also clear to you. And so you affirm something or deny something about a substance is Savikalpaka Pratyaksha. Like, this chalk stick is not red. Like, this is also a clear knowledge, right? This chalk stick is not red. This rose is red. So either you affirm something or deny something about a substance is a Savikalpaka Pratyaksha. It's a Savikalpaka Jnanam also. That is not a sensation, it's a clear knowledge. Ramaraya Kavi says, look, suppose I have seen a person by name David. I am changing Devadatta, but here in America it is David. Anyway, so I have seen a person named David in a particular context, at a particular time and at a particular place. Now, same David you are seeing now in a different context now, definitely. You have seen him before 20 years. That was a different context. Context was a school where you were attending, in a classroom you have met him, etc., etc. So it was a different situation. Particular place, particular time, right? And now you are seeing him in somebody's home, right? So this is a different context, different place, different time. And therefore, when this kind of a thing is there and somebody asks you, who is he? And then you say, well, so I am David. So this is that David, which who was with us in a school, etc., etc., as our classmate, and we were friends and we were moving around like that. So when you say Soyam Devadatta or Soyam David here, so who is qualified by this Devadatta who is qualified by a particular context at a particular place and at a particular time. That Devadatta is this Devadatta is identical with that Devadatta of a particular context of a particular time and of a particular place. So so you are interested in a identity of the person, right? When you are interested in an identity of a person, we are asking these people, philosophers, when you are really interested in identity of a person, are you really going to drop the qualifications of both Devadatta, or you are going to keep them? If you keep the qualified Devadatta of both, you cannot bring an identity. You have to drop the qualifications. That Devadatta was different of that place, that time, and of that context. He was just a classmate. He was studying with us in a school. Well, so all those qualifications I have to drop, and qualifications which are available right now in that David or Devadatta, well, also have to be dropped. When you want to talk about an identity of the person, definitely, well, you have to drop these qualifications. A qualified person, that's your knowledge. That's a Savikalpaka Pratyaksha. You are knowing before him. Right now also you are seeing a person with a certain other Vishesha. So this is also Savikalpa Pratyaksha. But when you want to talk about the identity, you cannot make a identity between two Devadattas if you keep the qualifications as it is. At that time he was a boy with a certain other kind of features. Right now he is for different features. So both the features have to be dropped. And then, well, so in an identity of a person which is jnanam, of course jnanam, well, the qualifications are dropped. So we say the Savikalpaka Pratyaksha is a first and Nirvikalpaka Pratyaksha is later. Yeah. Therefore, it's not that always the sequence which you are saying is true. Always you know a thing initially with all qualifications. So a Savikalpa Pratyaksha is first. Later there is a Nirvikalpa Pratyaksha. Because I am interested in a Vyakti Swarupa Matram, which is to be conveyed, not entire paraphernalia in which I am interested, and because I want to make the person recognize the identity, and definitely he has to know just the person, not a qualified person, because if you keep the paraphernalia are all opposite. At that time he was very thin boy. Right now he is a hefty guy with a 90 kg, and anyway, so all features have changed now. So if I take into consideration all paraphernalia of both, I can't establish the identity of a person, and so I drop them, and I'm dropping because that is my tatparya. I want to identify the person. I want to make other person identify the given person anyway. So Ramarai Kavis basically goes to the extent of saying that first your perception of a David is Savikalpaka. Subsequently, the perception of your David is Nirvikalpaka. Because Soyam Devadatta, this is that David. So these and that cannot have an identity. That is, identity is only possible when both and the qualifications at both the places should be dropped. Because if you keep the qualifications, identity is not possible naturally. Those qualifications are different. The place was different, time was different, situation was different, and here also place, time, and situation is different. So all the criterias, well, if you keep even of a person, well, then you cannot identify. He was a boy. Right now he is a person who is married, and naturally everything, height, weight, everything change. So all, if you are interested in identifying a person, well, as I said you, Vyakti Swarupa Matram if you want to convey, then definitely that is, then I have to drop this, all Vikalpas, all Visheshas, all qualifications, specifications, I have to drop. And therefore, first is a Savishesha Jnanam, Savikalpaka Jnanam, later it is Nirguna Jnanam, Nirvikalpaka Jnanam, and Nirvishesha Jnanam. So this is very brilliant way of arguing by Ramarai Kavi. So, and here identity also is a knowledge, right? When you identify, yeah, this is that David, you recognize, it's a knowledge. It's not a sensation. And so the sentence comes in a prepositional form. So prepositional means a determinate sentence. Like, this is red rose is a preposition in which you are clear about the subject, predicate, or a substance, attribute, everything. So same way, this is that Devadatta is a jnanam, and a determinate sentence in which you have recognized the identity. So which comes first and which comes later, etc. We say, if you are insisting, we are not even too ready for this Savikalpaka and Nirvikalpaka. But if you insist, no, Nirvikalpaka is first and Savikalpa is a final knowledge, etc. So then we have to say, no, Savikalpa Jnanam is first, Nirvikalpa Jnanam is later. This is how Advaitin argues. So Ramarai Kavi says, well, what is first, what is later? It's a matter of actually extremely insignificance for us. And why sequence is so important for you, basically, it should not be. And therefore, if you insist, then we say it is illogical to say Nirvikalpaka is first and Savikalpaka is later. Well, it doesn't sustain logically, as we have given you the example in which a Nirvikalpa Jnanam comes later, a Jnanam of identity, etc. In our mind, Advaitin means this Mahavakya all the time moving in his mind. So that is the thing. And therefore, anyway, so all this sequence, etc., this classical text basically don't pay attention to. Anyway, if question of a dialectic, etc., then we have to, answer them. Then we say like this. Otherwise, we are indifferent to sequence. Advaitin basically is not, insistent about sequence. If they really tell us to make our position clear, well, we say, okay, Savikalpaka is the first and Nirvikalpaka later. We say reverse. Anyway, so, and this Tatra Savikalpakam Vaishishtya Avagahi Jnanam. Savikalpa Jnanam is what? Vaishishtya Avagahi. Means if you have a Triputi Jnanam, it is a Vishishta Jnanam. Like Yatha Gatam Aham Janami. I know this pot. Clear. Triput is clear. It's a Vishesha Jnanam, Savikalpa Jnanam. I am a knower of the pot. Pot is object of knowledge. And there is a pot knowledge in my mind, etc., etc. So, Jnata Agni Jnanam, Triput is there, Triad is there, Pramata Prameya Pramanam is, etc. is there. So, Vaishishtya Vagahi, this kind of a Vishesha Jnanam, basically is a Savikalpa Jnanam. What about Nirvikalpa Jnanam? Nirvikalpakam Samsarga Anavagayi Jnanam. So, Nirvikalpa Jnanam is the one in which there is no samsarga, there is no relationship, there is nothing to relate to, basically. Person alone is sought to be conveyed. Like Soyam Devidatta, as I said you, Soyam David, etc. This is that David. Well, in which this is just identity of a person is understood. The person is not related to any attributes, and therefore, definitely, Nirvikalpa Jnanam is samsarga. Samsarga means a relationship. Relationship, etc., between subject and a predicate, or relationship between a substance and attribute. That kind of a thing is not is called for here, and therefore Nirvikalpa Jnanam is samsarga anavagayi. Samsarga means basically relationship, sambandha. And both Savikalpa Jnanam also has a truth value. Nirvikalpa Jnanam also has a truth value, and the difference between them is in terms of a kind and degree, basically. Then Savikalpaka is Savikalpaka, Nirvikalpaka is Nirvikalpaka, basically. Difference in quality. And Nirvikalpa Jnanam is very important for Advaitin. For other philosophers, it is not important. In fact, they all say in a Jnanam, it is a initial Jnanam. Later, determinate knowledge is Savikalpaka only, and which we have given an answer for that, because for us, Nirvikalpa Jnanam alone is important. Identity between Jiva and Ishvara is important. Jiva and Ishvara, the knowledge about just Jiva is a Savishesha Jnana. Knowledge about Ishvara also is a Savishesha Jnana. Yeah, when you bring an identity, you have to drop the Vishesha. That is what Lakshartha is. And therefore, what is first and what is later? If you are really asking us and insisting upon us, we say it is Savikalpa is the first. And first means you can understand. It's an initial phase. Later, determinate knowledge is a Nirvikalpaka Jnana. That's a final knowledge. Anyway, so we gave our answer like this. So, Pratyaksha, we have discussed a lot about Pratyaksha now, starting from Nayayikas and Mimamsakas and even Vishishta Advaitin and Advaitins. So far as this problem of Savikalpaka, Nirvikalpaka, etc. is concerned, we have discussed this. Then, Nayayika, talks about extraordinary perception, Alaukik Pratyaksha, which I talked about also. So, Alaukika Pratyaksha means the thing which is elsewhere is seen here. I gave you example of that silver coin in the home is seen right now, and I definitely superimpose upon that shell which is outside. If you remember, Alaukika Pratyaksha, I have talked about it. This kind of a pratyaksha they believe. Nayayika believes alaukika pratyaksha. And they say yogis have this alaukika pratyaksha, etc. and extraordinary perception. We definitely respect that, of course, and they have, because yogis have some extraordinary power to see, to perceive things which are far away, which are elsewhere. But the provision Nayayika has made in here also in the philosophy. So, many years ago in a Duke University, in fact, the parapsychology was developed, we call it generally as a extrasensory perception, ESP. And the pioneer was at Duke University, and great experiments have been conducted in this field of ESP. And of course, this is not a part of a philosophy. Philosophers basically, they have a limited territory, and they don't allow then others, a parapsychologist or theologians, etc., to get, to enter into their territory. They don't allow this trespassing. They also enter into philosophy and then they pass. Philosophers don't allow. But anyway, so basically they have developed this parapsychology initially in the field of ESP. And ESP is well, and then great experiments were conducted there. And probably that ESP, extrasensory perception, etc., would confirm what yoga tradition has to say. But here it is different. But somehow Nayayikas have included this alaukika pratyaksha, the thing which is far away, you are seeing right now at the time of superimposing. And that real thing which is there in your cupboard, that silver coin, real, which you are superimposing outside on the shell, that I have talked about it. Well, that kind of a thing we are not accepting. I gave you the answer also. If you are able to see which is at a far distance, which is quite away, then in between here and that particular object, in between there are several things. You should be able to see those things also. Why not that? And therefore, well, definitely, so we say, if you are not able to answer why you are not able to see the things in between also, then we have to say that you are basically, it's a remembered silver only, which you have experienced, and it is not the real silver which you are seeing, right? That's what we conveyed also. Anyway, so with this pratyaksha pramana, vichara is over. Now, very important pramana is a shabda. For us also it is very important. And well, I don't want to spend time with Anumana and Upamana, but Shabda is a very important pramana for us. In Anumana, of course, we follow, I just will mention few things. In Anumana, we generally follow Nayayika with a certain reservation. So far as the structure is concerned. See, if you do a inference for your own sake, then it can be condensed into some 3 stages. If you are inferring for others' sake, giving knowledge through inference to others, well, it can be expanded into 5 prepositions, etc. They say paksha is there, and sadhya is there, and then vyapti also is there, and then paramarsha is there, and nigamanam is there, etc., etc. I am not going into that, but we have discussed we were discussing a Kenopanishad introduction. That time we discussed pramana, and in between also I have mentioned, so I am not going into that. So anyway, so we accept Nayayikas. They always say panchavayavan, so five factors in that Anumana. To build the whole structure of an Anumana, 5 factors are required, paksha, sadhya, etc. I said. But we make a distinction like this, that if inference is for oneself, this paramarsha, etc., nigamanam is not required. Just, you make an Anumana vakya. Like parvataha vanniman, dhumavatva, yatha mahanase. Over. Bas, that's all. So you make a pratignya. What is a pratignya? Pratignya means opening statement. What is opening statement? What do you want to prove? That's opening statement. What? Well, this hillock has a fire. That's what you want to prove. Well, dhumavatvat, because it has a smoke. So what? No. Yatha mahanase. just as in the in the kitchen, when the when I'm the smoke and fire are together, well then that becomes a vyapti for me, and well, invariable concomitance between smoke and fire is there, and therefore here also I am seeing a smoke on the hillock, and therefore fire must be there, because there is an invariable concomitance between them. So if I am doing for myself, gaining knowledge of fire through inference for myself, these three things are enough: drashtanta, and then hetu, and this pratigna. Enough. But for some others, well then I say paramarsha and nigamanam etc. also will be added, but basically not required. So this is how we say. Nayayika says panchavayam all the time, 5 factors are required. Anyway, so far as upamana is concerned, Nayayika explains one way and Mimamsaka explains in a little different way. And Advaitins accepts Mimamsaka's explanation of upamana. Okay, with this, other two pramanas are also over. Anyway, now Shabda. Now Nayayika says there are, two things we have to consider. First is a knowledge generated through Shabda, but a knowledge generated through the words uttered by someone, by a trustworthy person. We call it, that trustworthy person is called aptaha. So so the statement by apta, purusha, becomes a pramana, and which gives you knowledge. So first of all, Nayayika introduced these restrictions, and that words spoken by apta is a pramana. Spoken by a trustworthy person is a valid knowledge. Shabda serves as a pramana like other pramana and generate valid knowledge. Like pratyaksha, Shabda also generates a knowledge. But difficulty is in this, the knowledge which is generated by this trustworthy person. But how will you know whether the person who has uttered the words is a trustworthy? How will you know? So difficulty is, how do we know that who is apta? Who is apta? Who decides? Who is trustworthy? Who decides? Well, answer is, you are asking such a question. We have to reply by asking a question. How do we know anybody is a Jivan Mukta? Because a Jivan Mukta generally won't proclaim that I am a Jivan Mukta, I am Jivan Mukta. Even though Upanishad sometimes says, ha, hu, ha, hu, ha. So they say like that. But generally, no one proclaims, because it's a mistake, correction of a mistake actually. And therefore, no one would definitely proclaim. If I did some mistake, I would not let you know. Therefore, definitely, same way. And therefore, I am Brahman, now I know. Actually, I was Brahman, but I take myself as a Jiva for and this mistake is not a mistake of a one day or so. And therefore, he would shy away basically anyway. So he won't proclaim I am Jivan Mukta, etc. So any person claims, we won't generally say he is a Jivan Mukta. Anyway, so we may only think whether a given person is a apta or not, trustworthy or not. We have a certain pragmatic taste for that. What is that? Like we give example, while traveling on a foot, suppose you are hungry and thirsty now, and then and you find some person on the side of the road, and you said, I am very hungry and thirsty. Is there any source here to appease my hunger and to quench my thirst? Is there any source? And say it is near. You just go in this side, on the right hand side, and you may have to walk another 1 kilometer, but you will find a very nice river, clean river, and also there are so many mango trees on the bank of that river, and this is summer, and therefore there are so many mangoes also are there, and the ripe mangoes, and nobody touches that, those fruits, etc. So you will have a lot, you can enjoy those mangoes, sweet mangoes, and water also is there, so you don't worry about it. And you take that as valid, right? And you go and turn like that. You are tired, and you have to still walk. For that you have to trust that person. and you trusted that person and really you found. So while eating the mango, you definitely found that the person who spoke to you is a apta, is a trustworthy person. So basically, when he was speaking, you did not insist on the proof. Well, that what you say is true. First, you prove. If you say to that person that what you are saying, well, you prove that it is true, then only I will go to that place. Then that will never arise. Therefore, we always go by Swatah Pramanyavada. Swatah Pramanyavada is a very beautiful thing. Any cognition as it arises is valid for us. Any cognition. Always it is valid for us. Later on we may negate. That is why when there is a cognition of a snake, I take it as a snake. Otherwise, why will I run away? Why will I run away? So, a cognition as it arises, well, I take it as a valid. That's called Swatah Pramanya. It's a very beautiful thing. Vedantins accept Swatah Pramanya. The pramana, whatever the pramana generates a cognition, we take it as a valid. We will not verify the cognition generated by that particular means of knowledge through other means of knowledge. No. So we always believe in a Swatah Pramanyavada. Anyway, so I definitely try to run away. I don't debate. I don't debate at that time. Seeing the snake, I don't debate whether it is snake or not. So as the cognition arises, I take it as a valid. Subsequently, of course, you realize that your cognition has betrayed you. And well, so it is not a valid cognition. There is a sublation of that cognition. And then subsequent cognition, well, I take it as a valid again till it suffers sublation. You will take it. Suppose a rope cognition. And suppose that cognition of the rope, well, it is not sublated. I will take it as valid. So, cognition as it arises, I take it as valid. Until that is proven otherwise. Therefore, so the truth is basically we say it is, that cognition we take it as valid. So, truth is intrinsic basically. And because we believe in Swatah Pramanyavada, error is extrinsic. That means any knowledge as it arises carries its own credentials. Definitely. Any cognition, including cognition arising from Shabda, we take it as valid. That is how people are cheated also. That is how people are cheated. Yeah. You say something to me or I say something to you, you accept it as it is. And therefore, well, anyway, Nayayika talks about this apta, a source of a valid knowledge. So apta may be now this apta may be a human being also, or apta may be Ishvara also. And a source of a valid knowledge, Ishvara means Veda, let's say that way. So according to Nayayika, well, the knowledge generated from two sources, either, apta can be a human being or by Veda, Ishvara. Now, according to Nayayika, Shabda is of two kinds. I'm giving you several classifications here, very beautiful classifications. So Shabda is of two kinds, and the one classification is, one type of classification is, on which they have divided Shabda onto two kinds, is this. Shabda which gives you knowledge of a perceptible things. Drashtartha. And Shabda which gives you knowledge of a imperceptible things called Adrashtartha. When Apta Purusha, Apta gives you knowledge of a perceptible things, you can verify that. Yes, it is there or it is true, right? As this person, the knowledge given by that person who was on the side of the road told that person that yes, the river is also nearby there, mango trees are there, this. Well, so when the apta well gives you knowledge of a perceptible things, it's a perceptible, definitely. Well, you can verify it. Yes, it is true. Sometimes apta gives you knowledge of imperceptible things like punyam, papam, devatas, various lokas, etc. Well, that also is it is also a valid. That's how Bhagavan said in, I think, on 16th verse, the 16th chapter end, I think. Tasmat shastram pramanante karya karyau vivasthitau. Shastram pramanam. Apta. Veda also is apta. Gives you knowledge. Knowledge of imperceptible things. In form of words. Right? In form of words. And so that, but still it is a valid. Shastram pramanam. So words of a shastra, words of the apta called Veda also is a pramana. Regarding what? Karya karyau. So regarding karya karyau means it's a saptami, dvivachanam, Vishaya saptami. Karya vishaye, akarya vishaye. And somebody asked a question to Pujya Swamiji, well, what is this? Regarding karya karyam, regarding karyam, what is to be done, and akaryam, what is not to be done, regarding dharma and adharma. If Shastra is a pramana, that's what Bhagavan says. Bhagavan has not mentioned regard that Shastra is a pramana for Atma. Otherwise Bhagavan should have told. Bhagavan says regarding karya, regarding dharma, adharma, only Shastra is a pramana. And you say Upanishad basically is a pramana for a Atma Jnana. But Bhagavan himself does not mention about it. And you see the answer of a Pujya Swamiji. So brilliant. He says that karyam includes akaryam. Karyam is what is to be done. It automatically implies akaryam also. And the word akaryam uttered by Bhagavan indicates Brahman. Because Brahman is not a karya. Brahman is not, in fact, Brahman is a siddha vastu. It is not something which is to be accomplished. And therefore, definitely, akaryam means Brahman and karyam means dharma dharma. Therefore, this is a height of Pujya Swamiji. So regarding everything, regarding Atma or regarding Dharma, regarding Brahman, regarding Dharma, athato Dharma Jignasa, athato Brahma Jignasa. Both. So athato Dharma Jignasa, first sutra, Jaimini Sutra. At that moment itself, it has been repeated twice. Yeah. Athato Dharma Jignasa, athato Adharma Jignasa. The sutra is athato Dharma Jignasa. Well, regarding Jignasa, if you have a desire to know what is to be done, etc., then Veda Purva is a pramana, Karma Kanda is a pramana. But then people, they repeat another same thing again. Athato Dharma Jignasa is there, they say athato Adharma Jignasa. A is elided by Sandhi rule. You know very well, akara can be elided. So when you say dharma means adharma also is included. Dharma vishaye, Shastra is a pramana. And regarding Brahman also, akarya also, it is a pramana. Anyway, what I am saying is, apta is a pramana, Shastra is a pramana basically for, imperceptible things. So Shabda, Shastra, apta is a pramana for imperceptible things. And apta, suppose, is a human being, not Veda, Shastra, but human being. Well, then that human being, even he is apta, and he is a pramana for giving you the knowledge of perceptible things, which you can verify. Oh, Swami, but what about the teachers of what about teachers of Vedanta? Because Shastra does not speak to us. Yeah, but then the language of Shastra only is spoken by teacher. Therefore, teacher is a pramana. Basically, it's not independent pramana. Teacher is a pramana through Shastra. And therefore there is, whenever, that's how we say, it's basically, it's a, and whenever we say Shastra is a Pramana, we say Shastra plus teacher is a Pramana. Always we say like that. And therefore, so don't think Shastra, the teacher means a human being. And then, he says regarding Punyam, Papam, etc. He talks about it, or he talks about a Devata, he talks about, suppose, Swarga, etc. But then he's a human being, and you said if Apta is a human being, and he will always talk about a perceptible things, then I can verify. So, this is not like that. The teachers are basically of the Vedanta or Shastra will definitely talks about Vedanta. Vishaya is basically all these imperceptible things only. Anyway, Nayayika says Apta is a Pramana for Drashtartha and Adrishtartha. This is one classification of Shabda. Drashtartha, Adrishtartha. And Apta is a Pramana for that. Another classification given by Nayayika regarding the words, kind of words, Laukika, Alaukika. Laukika, ordinary Shabda, spoken by Apta, not Ishvara. Alaukika, extraordinary words, Veda. So because of this alone, we consider Nayayika as a orthodox, Vaidika. They say that Shabda is of two kinds, Shabda Pramana of two kinds. Laukika, spoken by people in general, becomes Pramana for you. And Alaukika means the extraordinary words of the Veda, etc. Well, that also is a Pramana. Nayayika says. So we say then Nayayikas are Vaidika. Definitely, because they accept Veda as a Pramana. Why you have to say we know that? No. Otherwise, whole philosophy of a Nayayika is derived by reasoning. Reasoning, Nyaya is a Pramana for them, not Veda. Whatever is suitable, which has been told by the Veda, if it is suitable to the reasoning of a human being, that should be accepted. If something which Veda says is not suitable to the reasoning of a human being, should not be accepted. That is how Nayayikas are basically called Tarkikas. Tarka is a Pramana. But since they say the Veda also is a Pramana, they accept it. We tell them that yes, they are orthodox, they are Vaidika. And such a Nayayika gives a proof for Ishvara. He proves Ishvara through 4 arguments. I thought I should include here also, because I said it is there in Brahma Sutra, but but let us talk about it. He gives 4 reasonings to prove Ishvara. Swamiji, Ishvara cannot be proven. Ultimately, you have to go by Veda. Veda basically gives the knowledge of Ishvara, and therefore Ishvara is there. Veda is a Pramana, etc. No, this is Nayayika. Nayayika says, well, I let the Veda talk about Ishvara. I will prove through my reasoning. And he gives 4 reasons to prove Ishvara. First, argument based on cause-effect relationship. So, every object in the world basically has a maker, has a creator. So, like chair is made by, a carpenter, etc., maker. Maker is a nimitta karanam. And so then he says, well, chair is a very beautiful design, right? Serves a purpose and so nice, etc., etc. Parts are joined together to serve a certain purpose, a very intelligent design and orderly thing, and etc., etc. And therefore there must be a maker, right? Intelligent being must be there. Same way, look at the creation. And well, creation is very orderly, and that's what Swamiji says, orders all, right? So extraordinary, and that too. Not like chair. Chair means the ordinary maker is enough. But look at this design. Look at this order in the creation. And therefore he is an extraordinary maker. And that is extraordinary maker is called Ishvara. Anyway, so therefore he proves Ishvara. This is the first reason. A reason of causality. Cause effect. No. Sometimes we may see there is a disorder in the creation. And and therefore, how can you say the creation is orderly? If you say something is in disorder, it's a lack of a deeper understanding of a phenomena, of an object on your part. Okay? And therefore, basically, if you say there is a disorder in the creation, really there is not disorder in the creation. It's a lack of your knowledge regarding an object or a phenomena. A deeper knowledge is required which you don't have, and therefore you can't understand that phenomena. So you say it is disorder. So creation is orderly. There is no disorder in creation. Whatever it is, everything is in order. And human being's knowledge is very, very limited. And so the phenomena which he doesn't understand, the object, particular object, if he doesn't understand, well, he may say this is disorder, but it is not. So, and it is true also. We may take the things for granted, basically, but basically everything is in order. Anyway, so this is first, a reason of causality. Second is a reason of a adrishta. Nayayika says, this married, demarried, punya papa, etc., which is a big burden, every jiva carries. We are travelers basically, and how long we have been traveling, that itself is not known. From beginningless time we are traveling and traveling with a burden. All the time we are having a burden, and we don't know when we started also. And so it's a beautiful concept. This is in a Vedic tradition. And Punya Papa, and that carries forward, and then you will have a next Janma and etc. Punarjanma, and definitely what you are facing due to a Sanchita which has turned to Prarabdha, therefore Purva Janma, etc. also you have acquired. All these concepts. It's basically a Vedika concept. Veda basically talks about it, and later Buddhism and Jainism people also have adopted this concept. Anyway, so adrishta bell is there, and it has to function, and by itself it cannot function, and therefore we need an operator for this adrishta, for a punya papa, etc. And so that operator is called karma phaladata. So who gives at a right time to a right person, a reward must be given of his own karmas. Positive or negative reward has to be given, and such a phaladata who controls basically adrishta is Ishvara. So he is proving Ishvara through adrishta, for the management of adrishta. Adrishta definitely requires management, because the person has done certain merits and also has done certain demerits, and therefore for meritorious actions he should be given merits, rewards, positive rewards. And for the demerits, the person should be given negative rewards. Well, then some operator is required, and therefore that operator who manages, my God, with a big network, so Ishvara is required. So for all these things, Nayayika is in mainstream, like us. We are happy about him. We don't prove Ishvara. We always put this person in front. But to whom we have to prove Ishvara? To Bauddhas, my God, they are the responsible people. Nayayikas are the responsible for driving out Bauddhas, not Vedantins. It's a wrong concept that Vedantins, especially Shankaracharya ji came. Well, to an extent it is okay, but basically Nayayikas have really dealt with these Bauddhas. Bauddhas are Nirishwarvadis, and they did not believe, and Nayayika have logically proven Ishvara. Almost all concepts of Bauddhas have been uprooted through logic, because Bauddhas will understand the language of reasoning. They won't understand, because they are not accepting Veda as a pramana. And Nayayikas have dealt with them. That's how Bauddhas did not like Nayayikas. They don't, see eye to eye. Nayayikas and Bauddhas basically. Bauddhas will always will try to find some opportunity to knock out this Nayayikas. And Nayayikas is always in search of an opportunity to knock out Bauddhas. Anyway, this is the second. Adrishta. Reason of adrishta. Basically requires management, etc. Third argument, Ishvara is there, God is there, because Veda says. Veda says? Yeah, Veda proves. Where? Third Sutra, Brahma Sutra. Shastra yonitvat, Shastrasyapi yonihi, yonihi karanam, Shastrasyapi karanam. There should be some author, etc. Don't accept right now, but I'm going to say something I'm going to modify my own sentence later. But understand that way. Yoni means karan, that we know. So, third sutra very clearly, third sutra has been seen in two ways. Shastram eva yonihi yasya saha shastra yonihi. Second, shastrasya yonihi. Shashti Tatpurusha. One is a Bahuri, one is a Shashti Tatpurusha, and another is a Bahuri. So that sutra is looked upon in two ways, and both reasons are important here to prove Ishvara. First, so our third reason, there is God, because Veda proves it. Shastram eva yonihi yasya. Yonihi, source. Shastra is a source for womb. For womb. Ishvara. How will you know Ishvara? You have a knowledge of Ishvara through what? Through Shastra. Therefore, Ishvara is called Shastra Yonihi. And Tvat, because of that. And therefore, Ishvara you come to know through Shastra, through Veda. Therefore, Ishvara is there. Who says? Nayayika. Great thing, right? Great thing. Now, fourth. And I said Shastrasyapi yonihi. Ishvara is the author of a Veda. Shastrasya, Vedasya yonihi. The source of Veda is a Ishvara. And therefore, Ishvara is there. First I said, you know Ishvara through Veda. Therefore Ishvara is there. Shastram eva yonihi yasya saha shastra yonihi. Saha Ishvara shastra yonihi. Now I am saying shastrasya yonihi. Because yoni, source. Shastrasya yoni, the source of Shastra, source of Veda, is Ishvara. Therefore, Ishvara is there. Like that. So anyway, we have to. I will clarify. There are certain points in this. Ishvara is the author of Veda. Veda requires some cause, and we say Ishvara is a cause. Therefore, Ishvara is there. This is what Nayayika says. But basically, this is this is a dosha. We have seen that dosha in a first chapter of a Panchadashi. I think in first or second chapter, first chapter perhaps. It's called Chakratmakaha. So Veda is, Ishvara is there. How will you know? Because Veda is there. And Veda is a pramana, or Veda is there. How will you know? Because Ishvara is the source of that. So basically, it looks like existence of the Veda is, on Ishvara, and existence of Ishvara is on Veda. It looks like that. So it's a kind of a circularity in this argument. Nayayika says there is no circularity. He knows this dosha. He says this is not a dosha of a Chakratmaka. There is no circularity here. Veda is a proof for existence of a God. Veda is not responsible for existence of a God. He says Veda is a proof for the existence of a God. Veda is not responsible for existence of God. Could you follow what I am saying? Ishvara is existing. Veda does not Veda is not responsible for existence of God. Veda is a proof for the existence of a God. Could you follow what I am saying? Veda is not responsible for existence of God. Veda is a proof for the existence of a God. Anyway, but God is a responsible well, for existence of Veda. God is responsible for existence of Veda. Veda is not responsible for existence of God. So Veda does not lend existence to Ishvara. Ishvara lends existence to Veda. That's the thing. Okay, is it clear? In one case, knowledge about Ishvara through Veda. In other case, the very existence due to Ishvara. First case is knowledge of Ishvara through Veda. That's okay. In second case, existence of the very Veda, due to Ishvara. Existence of Ishvara due to Veda, no. Existence of Veda due to Ishvara. And therefore there is no Chakratmaka dosha. Chakratmaka dosha means what? My existence is dependent upon you and your existence is dependent upon me. Dosha. Right? That is a dosha. Now, understand this. If my existence is dependent, suppose, you say, Swamiji, I want to borrow some money from you. Oh, is it so? Oh, I thought of calling you for borrowing the money. So then, this is not going to work out. So basically, existence of the Veda is due to Ishvara. Existence of Ishvara is not due to Veda. Knowledge of Ishvara is due to Veda, through Veda. That's true. That's okay. That's okay. Therefore, Chakratmaka dosha is not there. So, Nayayika says, I am not guilty of this dosha. Ishvara is a creator or author of a Veda. For that Vedanta he has some reservations because there are two extreme positions, On one hand, Mimamsaka hold one position, they say Veda is Apaurushaya. Vedantin says, Apaurushaya means nobody has created Veda, therefore don't say Ishvara is the author of Veda. Vedanta says, okay, no doubt Veda is Apaurushaya, okay? But or let's say Ishvara is not author of Veda, okay? But in bringing out, when he, in beginning of every creation, Yatha Purvam Kalpayet, and therefore, like in previous creation, in this creation also by will of God, the creation also manifests. Veda which was existent in the creation, previous creation, also manifest by Ishvara's will. Like creation. Like creation also is Anadi, Veda also is Anadi. But definitely, the creation is like, because ultimately so kamayata bahusyam prajaya. So creation has been brought about on account of Ishvara's will. Same way Veda also has been brought about on Ishvara's will. Vedas also become unmanifest at the time of pralaya like creation. Creation also becomes unmanifest. Same way Veda which was manifest also becomes unmanifest. Then again in next creation, on God's will, on account of God's will, creation also come manifest and Veda also manifest. That's what we say, right? So at the beginning of creation, Yo Brahmanam Vedadati Purvam Yo Vai Vedansha Prahinoti Tasma. In beginning of creation, Ishvara gave a knowledge of the Veda to Brahmaji, the creator. So it means he has manifested. So of course, so basically Veda is Anadi, that creation also is Anadi. So let's say Ishvara is not author of a Veda, like the Raghuvamsha was definitely, Kalidasa is author of a Raghuvamsha. So definitely Kalidasa created Raghuvamsha. So then the Raghuvamsha is not Anadi. But Veda is not like that. That's fine. We don't mind it. But Ishvara has definitely, by his will, he has brought. In the beginning of creation, he has manifested or gave knowledge to basically manifest. Not in terms of books came out, etc. The knowledge was given to Brahmaji, the creator. So if you say author, well, there will be a problem with regard to apaurushayatvam of a Veda. Because any composition, well, when you say some author, means becomes paurushaya. We accept it. We accept it also. And that is the reason why we include Bhagavad Gita in a Smriti Grantha. Even though the knowledge which is there in Bhagavad Gita is just Vedic knowledge, nothing else. Two Vishayas, both Yoga Shastra and Brahma Vidya. Right? And therefore, iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita su Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastra. Only two subject matters. Then that is the subject matter of the Veda. Then why are you calling one is a Shruti and other is a Smriti? One is a Paurushaya, other is a Paurushaya. Why? Because definitely Bhagavan is the author for that. Ishvara is the author. I mean, in a one avatar. Therefore, we consider it as a Paurushaya. You see, we should not say that we are downgrading Bhagavad Gita, but we are trying to make a distinction between Shruti and Smriti. Shruti means Apaurushaya, Anadi. Whereas for Bhagavad Gita, there is an author. Definitely it came into being at a given time. We should not say Bhagavad Gita is Anadi. That is not the case. Definitely take a birth. That's how we have a Gita Jayanti. We never have a Veda Jayanti. You don't have a Veda Jayanti. Oh, on given date, Rigveda is born. No. Thank God, even historians have accepted that on this earth, the oldest Grantha is Rigveda. They have accepted. They say some 10,000 years, etc. Well, let them say it, whatever they want to say, but they have accepted. So that is, at a particular time, some author has composed Veda. Well, it's not. There is a compilation, that is possible. And it is done by Veda Vyasa. That's how it is. Vyasacharyaji was a Veda Vyasa because he compiled the different branches of Veda which were there. He just compiled it. That's all. Anyway, so knowledge is Apaurushaya, definitely. So, and well, between Shruti and Smriti, we make a distinction like this because at a given time, the Bhagavad Gita has taken a birth, etc. And between Shruti and Smriti, I have told you also some relation. So, so long Smriti follows Shruti, well, we accept. If there is a contradiction between Shruti and Smriti, we try to reconcile, because we never throw away the Smriti, etc. We definitely try to reconcile. Therefore, we interpret in such a way that there will be a reconciliation between Shruti and Smriti. And that is what even Vyasacharyaji has done in Brahma Sutra in the second chapter also. And I have told you one sentence, Shruti Smrityoho param badhe Shruti reva gariyase. Shruti Smrityoho, between Shruti and Smriti, if there is some contradiction, Shruti reva gariyase. While we give a weightage to the Shruti. Generally, Smriti has a, Smriti basically are Shruti Mulakaha. Smriti has a Mula, the source, in the Shruti only, and the Bhagavad Gita is the best example. Whatever has been told in the Bhagavad Gita, ultimately it has a basis in Veda Shruti only. And therefore, there is no question of throwing away Smriti, etc. We try to reconcile and resolve the contradiction through proper interpretation, etc. And but even if some place, suppose you find that this is a big contradiction or something, suppose, then Shruti alone is a pramana. Ultimately, we give a weightage to the Shruti. And we did also at a particular point when we were discussing in Panchadashi. So in many things, of course, Nayayikas are in a mainstream, you can understand. So many things, they give a weightage to they accept even Veda as a pramana, alaukika shabda, etc. So one division of the shabda they have given is based on drashtartha and adrashtartha. Well, some words give you knowledge of a perceptible things. Some words give you knowledge of a imperceptible things like devatas and lokas and punya papa, etc. And other kind of a classification I gave you is laukika, alaukika. So laukika words also can become a source of knowledge. Alaukika, Veda, the words of Veda also can become a source of knowledge. In the first classification, apta, trustworthy. Apta can be of two types, and that is what we say. And this Nyaya basically is a great tradition, and they have also a lot of things. Anyway, so this is regarding Shabda. And some more things are there in Shabda now. Well, we have to discuss. We'll discuss it later. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.